Good, how are you?
Pretty good.
My name is Justin Morrison.
Justin, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, sir. I was coming here to talk to you about the medical cannabis bill. I was wanting to share with you sort of my grandma's story, what happened to her between 2008 and 2009.
Okay.
She has type 2 diabetes, and she basically had 6 ulcers come up on her legs, on her left leg, and 2 on her right. And for 4 months, she was laid up, wrapping her legs, wearing support hose, putting on the creams and stuff doctors giving her. But it took her basically from Christmas of 2008 to about April of 2009 to get over it. And then it was the end of 2009, it happened again, like right after Christmas again. I don't know if it's stress of Christmas or whatever, but it happened again. But in the meantime,
She got the ulcers on her legs.
yeah, she had basically had all 8 of them basically just, I mean, like
How old is she?
She's 67. I mean, she is, like I said, she's got type 2 diabetes and she is overweight. But somebody had given me a DVD called Run for the Cure, which shows cannabis, using cannabis oil, like rubbing it on, you know, putting it on the ulcers, and it showed a guy on there where basically in 2 weeks, he'd just put it on every single day, and his ulcers had healed up. So when they come back after Christmas, I showed my grandma that DVD, and we discussed this, and she didn't want me to go about this because breaking the law here in Tennessee, but I told her, you know, I didn't want her laying up and being like that for 4 months. So we obtained some cannabis oil, and for 2 weeks, every single night, same exact thing. Rubbed it on, wrapped it up in gauze, you know, and she laid up and stuff. Well, within 2 days, she was saying, something's happening, Justin. I don't know what's happening, but my legs are feeling better. Within 8 days, I mean, they were completely white, scabbed over, and it went away. I was wanting to share that with you because I know that you have been against it. I've been coming here since 2009 with Bernie Ellis and talking about this, but I just
You
don't
use
want
cannabis oil?
Cannabis oil, yes,
How
sir.
did you get that? I mean, that's from the plant, or you just
from-
bought it like that, or you made it
From the plant.
From the plant?
From the plant. It was. I obtained it. I mean, it's just straight from the plant. How they basically how they do it is they soak it in alcohol to get all the oils out of it, and then let the alcohol evaporate. Then you have just oil. Yes, sir. And you don't get high from that or nothing like that. I mean, so.
Then you just took the oil and just rubbed that on the oil?
We rubbed her legs down for basically 14 straight days, and I wish she could come up here with me, you know, to talk to you about it, but
Does she have circulation problems too?
she does.
Most time people with the ulcers have venous circulation problems. She's overweight.
She's overweight, yes, sir.
Very much overweight.
I'd say I don't necessarily know I'd say she's probably 245 or 250, and she's probably 5'8", 5'9". I mean, not huge, but she is overweight.
Well,
and she has type 2 diabetes.
That's the first I've heard about the oil like that.
Yeah, that's what most people say when I tell them that. There's just one guy on that DVD. He had talked about how he had ulcers and used them. Actually, bed sore ulcers is what he had and used them. And after I'd seen that DVD, after like 4 months of her just laid up on the couch. I mean, she wasn't even sleeping in with her husband or nothing, you know. My grandpa just laid up and wrapped up and immobile. And my grandma's, for somebody her size and stuff, she's a trucker. I mean, she's on the go, and she wasn't for 4 months. And I've been coming up here supporting this for the last 4 years. I mean, for her, not just for you know, just to get it legalized. I mean, I believe in the medical benefits of it because I've witnessed them firsthand and been a part of it. And I did put my hand out there and break the law, but it benefited her. And
it's not so much that, you know, and I don't doubt that did what you said, but it's just, there's no studies, there's no real control, because you just put some on there, and
I mean, I understand. The FDA refuses. They refuse.
I'm used to prescribing a medicine that's a certain milligram per strength, and you take this pill's 500 milligrams. You take 2 of them a day for 10 days, an antibiotic or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's been studied and it's been proven to be effective for this disease or that disease. Marijuana just see so many people that have a whole list of things that's supposed to help. And I just have a problem, and I've told Bernie this, until we can get some studies and people say this amount of this much of this oil is what you use for this stasis oil. It sounds like she has stasis ulcers. That's what you use for it. I just have a problem with them saying, well, the doctor prescribes this, because the doctor doesn't know how to prescribe it. The doctor doesn't know how to use a dose.
What do you think one reason is because the FDA refuses to study that and put a dose, and how they do doses based off the LD50? And
maybe so. I don't know, but every other drug that a doctor prescribes has to go through pretty stringent studies.
It does.
Even a lot of drugs, even if it's gone through the studies, and then it'll be out there being in use for a while, and then they'll find out it's causing problems. A big one, Vioxx, several years ago.
That's killed over 60,000 deaths is what they're...
A big anti-inflammatory medicine that helped a lot of people, but there were some people it caused damage, and they didn't see that even until it's been out there being used a lot. So it's just hard for me to say, well, let's just open the floodgate for this one thing, when all the other drugs we use have to go through all these studies. That's my problem as a doctor. I just have a problem with, and if somebody just used the oil, I wouldn't really have a problem if we could pass a bill saying, well, cannabis oil can be used on a stasis ulcer, because we've had 1,000 people that used it, and it helped them and didn't have any adverse effects. But the way we are, some people smoke it, some people use the vapor, and I'm not for it. Number one, I'm not for smoking anything.
It's understandable.
If you use it as a vapor,
I don't think smoking it is. I mean, that's the least effective. That's the least effective way.
And then some people use it in children that have seizures. They use some kind of a liquid medicine.
That's what Millie Madison. That's what she's taking.
So something like that. But that's just approving a medicine for a certain disease, like we do every other medicine. Now, if somebody wanted to say we can use cannabis oil for stasis ulcers, I would be okay with that.
Well, I know that's not on our bill, for the 12.
Right,
the
no.
ulcers is not on there, but
See,
that's just one that
that's
what I wanted to share.
One of the things that is supposed to help.
No, it's not.
But using something topically like that is not as bad as ingesting something, and if some company, I can't imagine that if that was that good, because certainly you're right, stasis ulcers are very difficult to...
Well, her grandmother lost both of her legs from them in the 60s. Lost both of them, and that was always been a fear. My grandma's always, because she's got them throughout the years, but it was just horrible there in 2008 and 9, and she was really worried she was going, gangrene can set up in them quickly.
I'm sure she's got vascular problems as well. That's a diabetes. Because typically, just somebody having diabetes, they don't have those, but it increases the risk of being overweight and having circulatory problems, and all those things add up.
Yeah, it does.
But that's a story, Justin. I've not heard that before, but.
Well, that's why I booked this meeting back in January. I just wanted to. I know you're a doctor, and I support you being our senator here in Tennessee, and I wanted to.
Where do you live?
I live in Coffee County, in Manchester.
Well, that's one thing I've not heard it being useful. It's just most people out here, they want to open it up so that we can treat all these diseases. And there are some things that helps. Nausea, it helps. Pain, it probably helps.
Was there nothing that we could do to import oil or something for people. I'm like, you know, if it ever happened again, or not just saying legalize it so we can grow it everywhere. I'm saying, but I mean, is there nothing that can be done?
Somebody tried to do something like that, but you know, typically medications are approved by somebody gets it approved. It's a very difficult ordeal for a drug company to get a drug approved. They spend a lot of money. They do all these studies.
Yeah, I know.
It takes several years.
Absolutely.
And it's a very expensive process. And the FDA requires it of every other drug. And we're trying to circumvent that system. And you know, there's one drug like hydrocodone cough medicine that we used to use. We've been using it since the 50s. You know, cough medicine that's got hydrocodone in it. Hydrocodone is a good cough suppressant. But because nobody had done a study on that, even though we've been using those medications for over 50 years, and all of a sudden the chief of the FDA at the federal government said, there's never been any studies on these cough medicines, so you can't use them anymore. You know, we've been using them for over 50 years. And it's just, you know, some of it doesn't make sense. But
Might have been too effective.
But I see every medicine has to go through very stringent trials and studies, and we're saying this one medicine, this one drug, we want an exception with it. We just want it to be approved now. And our legislature approved a drug several years ago. You may remember Fen-Phen.
I've heard of it. I don't know much
It
about
was
it.
a weight loss drug, and everybody was using it, and it wasn't approved in Tennessee. Fen-Phen, it was a combination of two different drugs. It's supposed to be very helpful for people to lose weight. So this legislature approved it to be used in Tennessee. Then when a lot of people started using it, they started seeing that it caused heart defects. And so it's pulled off the market. A lot of people sued and everything, but you don't see those things a lot of times until a drug is used very widespread. But Justin, I appreciate that. Of course, this year nobody really, I've not heard about the medical marijuana in a while, but nobody really sponsored the bill, did they?
And Sherry Jones, she's on it. I mean, it's all Democrats. We can't.
But there
That's
was
one
no
reason why.
senator.
No,
There was no senator that did it.
no, sir. That was one reason why I wanted to talk to you and come here. I mean, I didn't know what your whole opposition was against it, and just trying to understand.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that's my opposition to it, because as a doctor, if we're going to use it as a drug, it should have to be approved just like every other drug does. And people say, well, that's a problem because it's considered a class 1 drug, and so people can't do studies on it. You know, I certainly wouldn't be opposed to people being able to do studies on it. And using it topically like that.
that's honestly how I think it should be one of the most effective ways.
I wouldn't be opposed to, even today, somebody having a bill to say, well, you can use it topically like that. You know, you don't get as much side effects, but, you know, that wasn't the bill that we had, wasn't even using it topical.
No, I mean, it's not for that. It's got 12 other different conditions, but I just wanted to share that because I know you are a doctor, and I'm sure you know other people who have ulcers. Not to say that that's the cure for them or nothing, but it did work. It did work tremendously for my grandmother.
I've seen lots of patients in the past that had stasis ulcers like that, and they are dead. You put Una boots on them and replace them every so often, and physical therapy and wound centers, and you know, and they are difficult to heal up. If you can heal one up in 2 weeks, you're doing great.
Well, that's what we thought. I mean, it made her cry. Like I'm saying, after 2 days, she's like, Justin, I don't know what's happening here, but something's happening. My leg